Spell that.
Okay. Ms. Gallo.
When you're utilizing fund codes, you have to be specific about the use of those funds. And I think it would be prudent if you came back with specific use, because any disappropriation of bond funds, then this board will be liable to replace those funds personally.
Well, this is the first step. In the transfer, you know, it's got to be an interlocal agreement. That's what it's made right, whether it be specific and whether it be what everyone will consider making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
The board minute speaks for the action of the boards. Ms. Attorney, can you address the matter of concern, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't last part of your question.
Can you address the matter of concern?
Yes. Anytime that you transfer monies from one fund to another, it has to be specifically listed in terms of what that is. And for the use of those bond funds, we have to find a municipal purpose under Mississippi Code Section 19-9-1. Now, those have been previously provided to the board, but we can get a list of those and make those available to Supervisor Stokes.
Plus, it got to be an interlocal agreement. Is that correct?
Yes. In addition, there does have to be a local agreement.
Yeah.
Okay. Mrs.
I was going to say for recreation is basically playground equipment or walking trails, something.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
And repaving roads.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to?
Nay.
One nay. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mrs. Calhoun.
I'm not going to go to the issue because I still don't know. If the mayor is here, maybe the mayor can address my concern.
All right. Let me change this for the record. We have 3 voting yes, 1 voting nay, and 1 not voting.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And Mr. President, let me explain my vote if I may.
Yes.
I voted against moving $2.5 million from the bond that was intended to support the Byron Clinic corridor. This $50,000 will be taken from that 2.5, which is now called the Recreation Fund. And I'm consistent in my vote. I voted against it being removed in the first place, and I voted against a portion of what I disagreed with being moved, being allocated from that fund for the purposes, and it would be the same anywhere else.
Noted. Supervisor Calhoun, and then we'll move on.
Yes. Mr. President, the mayor is here. Maybe he can explain the use of those funds. And let me just set the record straight. The Byron Clinic corridor, that corridor is not about Byron. It's not about Clinic. It's about all of Hinds County. As a matter of fact, I'd be glad when we could change the names of the project to a more appropriate name. One of the things that the use of the funds will go toward is towards the project is concerned. And as far as the infrastructure is concerned, we are working with all of the mayors of Hinds County to develop a regional wastewater sewer concept, whereas hopefully if all of the smaller towns and municipalities can come together, we can create this wastewater system. Most of the residents in Hinds County, sewage
Mr. President, may I
disposal
continue my items, please?
Yes.
is divided by septic tanks, and we're trying to alleviate.
Thank you. Mr. President, for Youth Summit, I asked Reverend Starwood to come forward, please. And again, we mentioned earlier, we consider Reverend Starwood an expert. We met at Linear last week, and some of the people who made the suggestion that we meet with the young people, for some reason they didn't show, but Reverend Starwood had a chance to talk to the people that were there. about the issue of family court. And what he tried to explain is that a number of we have a method to deal with the young people, but there's no method to deal with the adults who allow these young people to do all kind of silly things, so to speak. And he said the way that we can combat that is through family court. And I asked him, as we place it on the agenda, we're going to try it again on Wednesday to bring some of the young people forward again. But we're going to ask Reverend Starwood just to kind of briefly give us an idea so we'll know.
Okay, Mr. Stallworth, good morning. Still morning, I believe. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. President, to the Board of Supervisors. The last meeting, Supervisor Stokes did ask were there any statutes or anything that would help us with family court, and this is information that we did receive back as it relates to under the Alice C. Clark Act. It gives us the only family court recommendation that the legislature has enacted through the Drug Court Act done, and they did a pilot program, and as I stated to you before, in Adams and Rankin County, through the Office of Administrative Office of the Court, and we will have to petition to do that. The youth summit is, yes, it will give us another tool in order to hold the entire family accountable for the actions of the youth. It will help us in many different ways. Because at present statute with the youth court, you can only deal with the child. But if you have a family court, you can deal with the problem with the entire family to order services and to make sure that services are placed inside there and taken care of, and accountability for the parents' action for not carrying out the actions of the court.
Finally, Reverend Starworth, you mentioned that currently we have a mechanism to deal with the young person.
Right.
But there's nothing in place until we fund a family court to deal with these parents and grandparents that's allowing these young people to do all kinds of things.
That's correct. Only thing we can do in finding them is that in the youth court statute is that we can only hold them accountable if they break into your house or for restitution. That's the only part that we can do. Parents are responsible for the actions of their child and making restitution.
Are there any other counties in the state of Mississippi that actually have this particular family court working or that they use? I think it's a good idea. Just want to know if there's something that we can measure it by.
Rankin and Adams County were the only two counties that did the pilot program.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'm going to hold the item dealing with the bulletproof vests for constables to our next meeting. Thank you, sir.
Okay. You finished?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Supervisor Hunter.
I want to go back to, just for a brief moment, back to the Barrel Cliff comment. My thinking is that the money we move is not a deal killer on that car. However, I would like to see it expedited start immediately within 90 days. I don't want to see no more studies, preparation. I understand that we done acquired all the property, the easement. Why not let's get started construction within the next 6 months and go ahead and build it. We got another corridor that I understand has been out there for a little while that we might need to revisit is the County Line Road. I understand there was federal dollars appropriated to make the connection to Highway 51, and the second phase was going to take it all the way from 51 to Highway 49. Let's expedite it. I want to see it go because I do think it's an economic engine.
Okay. Mrs. Calhoun.
Yes, sir. Supervisor Hunter, the segment from I-55 south to Davis Road, or Davis Road to Parks Road, has one more parcel in regards to acquisition right away. We can't start construction until all of the right of way has been acquired, at least per segment, and the corridor has been divided up into 5 segments. So we have one more parcel. Once that parcel has been acquired, then we must go to state aid, a division of the Mississippi Department of Transportation, to get approval. Once we receive approval from state aid, then we can move forward with advertising for construction. Now, how long it would take state aid to approve that segment of the corridor, I do not know, but certainly we can work with state aid in order to expedite the process. As soon as we get all the right of way for one segment, then we can move forward and get an approval and then advertising for construction and hopefully a groundbreaking.
But I understand, Mr. Calhoun, Supervisor Calhoun, it's still other needs throughout the county that also need to be addressed, along with the process of this corridor. I support it, but I can't support it to the point that we neglect other areas and other needs of small towns and communities, in inner city communities.
Yes, sir. And again, this board has hired Malachi Financial Products, and they're going to work with us in developing a capital improvements plan. I mean, this board is paying thousands of dollars for the advice of this company to come back to us with recommendations. And so I anxiously...
Well, we'll put a timetable on that too.
Supervisor.
I think he would wrap it up today if he could.
Supervisor Stokes.
But let me just mention, the county line is not a project of Hinds County. It's a project of the city of Jackson. It's not Hinds County's project.
Mr. President, I still say the same thing over and over again. Be on record that there's no money to complete this project, and I have grave concerns about spending this federal money if it's not going to be a completed project. But to follow up on Supervisor Hunter, especially during this time issue, feel like we would have a plan some way. A plan. Yeah, this is going to get completed at a certain time. Then we got this business getting ready to come. We have a commitment from that business. That's going to have any of that. None of that is present. The only thing we doing is giving people money and saying they're building the roadway to nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Stokes. What we'll do is we have Commissioner Cochran has come back. I think she, did you need to address one other item?
I just wanted to say we are unable to reach Josephine Anderson. So y'all need to do whatever you need to do. She's unreachable. We tried several different times, home and cell.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. We'll continue with our printed agenda. We do have to recess at some particular point this afternoon, then come back. We might even have to go up to the recess, but hopefully we won't take that long. We'll go to the County Administrator, Mrs. Carmen Davis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item under County Administrator is unclaimed bodies. There are none for your consideration today.
There was one.
There's one.
Yes, ma'am, I believe that was the email you threw in the call.
Okay, we didn't have it in my okay. I
I
apologize.
might be wrong. Hang on, now I'm looking. I was pretty certain that we had one. Yes, so Rusty Waters.
So moved.
Okay.
This one for your consideration.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Continue, please.
Thank you. Second item on the agenda is the ratification of resolution honoring and commending Jackson Gospel Music Award honorees.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion
To be
passes.
amended, Mr. President, for gospel music awards, and I think the blues award, did they not have some honorees also?
You know, actually, I think we can just eliminate gospel, because I think
You
it was
said
an overall gospel
Gospel
music. I mean,
Award.
the Jackson Music Awards.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so
Thank
we just
you.
read gospel.
Yes, thank you for correcting that, sir.
Okay.
Okay, continue, please.
Next, we have Mr. Harrington, Director of Maintenance, with one item for your consideration.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
President and Board of Supervisors. I stand before you today asking for your approval to enter into a temporary lease agreement with the Beginners, Inc. to utilize Davis Road baseball fields, fields number 1 and field number 4.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So,
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Got a second? We got a second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. Discussion?
Yes, I'd like to just recommend that with this contract or lease and all others that come through maintenance pertaining to the parks and contracts generally that may be negotiated by anyone who comes under the authority of board of supervisors, that they go through legal before they come to us, so that we can have the blessings and direction of our legal staff to make sure that all the things that need to be in these documents that protects the county and us are included.
And that's so noted. I think we already have that as one of our policies. Did it not go through legal to Mr. Harrington for them to look at it or to give it its blessing?
No.
Okay. All right. Supervisor Stokes, did you have something?
Motion pending for review.
Yeah. So we'll just make the motion pending review. Supervisor Stokes, did you have something?
Yeah, my concern was with this lease, will this bar other people from utilizing this park? Or it's only for certain times of the day? Or what's all included in this lease? What's the parameters?
The lease is for a year for fields 1 and field 4.
At certain times?
Certain times of the day, but they are responsible for the maintenance, for maintaining the fields.
Well, it's still open to the public. They don't have exclusive use of these fields.
Well, they will have a lease over these fields for the whole year.
So in other words,
It's
So,
let me stop. Let's see if are you finished?
Well,
Then we'll go to-
I'm not getting the answer, I guess, because if John Q. Citizen want to come use these fields and the fields are open, John Q. Citizen ought to be able to use the field without these people telling you can't use it. And I don't think these people ought to be able to charge somebody to use the field neither. And I hope all that will be in the language.
Right.
and I support where Mr. Stokes is going on this. Does the lease document give this group, the Beginners, exclusive rights for that field 24/7? Or does it state that if they have it for a year between the hours of whatever and whatever, what are they going to pay? Are they going to pay the light bill? Do we continue to pay the light bill?
Yes, sir.
Are they going to use the concession stand at no cost to them?
On this particular group here, they will not be using the concession stand. They use this field for scrimmage and practice. And while they have the lease, they are responsible for the upkeep of the baseball fields, paving of all electric and water for the particular fields, and to maintain the property also.
Okay. Ms. Harrington, I think I'm hearing the board correctly, is that they don't want to do this anymore, which is a good way to say it. Do they have liability insurance, or
Yes.
how much liability insurance? Who sets that liability insurance? What is the county's obligation? Has all of that been addressed in that particular issue?
I know when I first came on, as far as leasing the parks, there was liability insurance requirement for the leasing of the field.
So we don't know at this particular point
No way.
whether or not they have liability insurance or what.
They do have liability insurance for the property for a year.
What does the county require? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
What we require is at least $1 million in liability.
How do we know that that's what we should be requiring? I'm not trying to give you a hard time, just asking the questions. That's one of the things I think I'm hearing from the board, and we'll go to Mrs. Calhoun. Okay, Mrs. Calhoun.
Yes, Mr. President, since 1992, we have always had this agreement with the club, and there, as far as I know, there have not been any problems, and they have not excluded anybody from the use of the field. It's just there's never been a problem, and they do have liability insurance.
Mr. President?
So we'll, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I certainly hear the board, and what we can do is relook at this process and come up with a recommendation as to tighten up some of the procedures here.
Well, yeah,
and bring that back to you.
I think that kind of goes hand in hand with establishing that recreation board to where we won't have these particular type of issues. But I do, if it's the pleasure, the board will make the caveat that this there's a legal review of this document as well. So it's been moved and properly seconded that we accept this with legal review. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is from the Permanent Zoning Department. We have Ms. Kelly representing the...
Before you do that, let me just ask one last question.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure it gets in there. It was duly noted about the exclusive use, even though that some individuals will tell you that they don't have exclusive use. When other people go down, it's been my experience that they tell everyone this is our field. So even though we have it in writing to the one way, it's in reality it's different. So we want to make sure that on the legal review that we have some language in there stating as to who can use these particular fields and at what particular time. Now, I'm sorry,
Yes,
continue.
Yes. We have representatives from Permanent Zoning with one issue for your consideration.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. President Graham, board members. We are asking approval a conditional use permit in order to construct a wireless communication tower on agricultural zone property.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. The location of that
Highway 27.
Highway 27.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's been moved. Right. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Mrs. Callen, you have a question regarding that?
No question. I would just like to see us to also continue to market the antennas on our towers so we get a request from the outside.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is from Central Repair. I believe Mr. Ingram is here to present these issues to you from Central Repair Department.
Mrs. Davis, is Mr. Jenkins on to give us an update? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, other board members. Asking for the authorization to auction or sell vehicles on Gov Hill, also for the advertisement and the advocate.
So moved.
Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay.
Also, I'm asking authorization to capitalize the several vehicles.
So moved.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
There's one other part that wasn't on this, on the same one that was capitalized. I also need permission to sell scrap iron when capitalization is through.
Okay,
So moved.
it's been moved. Is there a second?
It's a question from
I think you can do that.
Because it was not on the agenda. But was this a part of,
It wasn't my original letter to, I think, Ms. Davis.
if it was part of,
Didn't get on this here.
If
I
it
do
was-
have a copy of my original letter here.
if it was part of an original motion, then we can do it. If it's not a part of the motion, since it's not on the agenda, we can't. So are you saying that it is or was a part of the original?
It's on the letter.
Okay. All right.
Further as to authorize to sell the remaining as scrap metal.
Okay, so in those circumstances, we can. It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mrs. Davis, continue.
And I do want to apologize for that oversight on the agenda. Next item we have is from Mr. Ray Bryant, EMS Coordinator, with one item for your consideration.
Okay, before we go there, Supervisor Hunter had his light on. I'm sorry, I missed you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to go back to Central Repair. I spent some time over there the other day, a couple of hours, and my concern is that it somewhat seems to be a disconnect between Public Works and Central Repair. And we have certain allotment of equipment assigned to different districts. But there's so much of it over there that's in repair. Some of it is probably normal wear and tear on equipment. And some of it just look like wear just negligent. And I'm trying to connect the dots between accountability and quality of our equipment. I guess I just need to hear a little bit from both sides, from Public Works and Central Repair, how we going to close this gap, because it's having a huge impact on the service that our constituents are receiving. When you got 3 tractors, when you got 4 tractors that should be running in District 4, you got 3 that's down. The rotation of grass cutting is way behind. The repairs is taking several weeks to get done. And I don't recall seeing anything that shows the accountability around how we follow the quality of it.
All I can say is, I request part, I get them in, to work out the quickest.
Could you speak a little bit louder? I can hear you.
And when I get my parts in, I request I get them in, get them in as quick as we can. Do the damage and stuff that may be done out of, not necessarily normal wear or something there. I can't tell you. Some things you can look at, you see there's abuse, yes. Some things you look at, you can't tell if it's natural wear or not.
All right.
As far as me getting with the director from Public Works, I got no problem sitting down with him, talking to him, and see him find a different way of getting some equipment, or not tore up as bad or, unnecessary, I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Mr. Shepard?
How many mechanics do you have for, regular vehicles? How many mechanics for heavy equipment? And what's the time frame from heavy equipment coming in the shop to being repaired and out the shop?
I got four equipment mechanics in the heavy equipment shop. I got one of them is disabled right now because had an accident. have 2 to 3 guys on the road out of the heavy equipment shop. So it leaves me with 1 mechanic left in the shop most of the time doing the work there. The other mechanics do come back to do work in the shop to help get some of that. It is a little slow sometimes getting projects out of it. But my priority is getting stuff off the road as quick as possible. Let's go down.
Are you under the direction of Public Works?
No, sir.
No, under county administrator, sir.
Now, you repair Public Works equipment though, right?
Yes, sir.
So if Public Works equipment is in your shop and the people need to be out there using the equipment and it's in the shop, that means what? Operators of the equipment, what do they do if they don't have the equipment? Just
additional assignments.
Are y'all going to have a time frame as to when things can get in and out?
Well, we work with them every day. I have one person that
I get with
coordinates.
Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke is his, in between us. I talk with him and my shop superintendent talk to him every day. Stuff that we need to do or things we need to try to get money for that's cost way up, and that's it.
Do you recommend when some of this equipment is too old for repair and we need to get more new equipment? Do we have seems like we should have a time on, I don't know the official term for when it's dead and we need some more. What is it? Deadline?
We do deadlines on vehicles, and we do get with other departments. When we say assets, some number of dollars that we don't have up in it, we do get with the department and find out if they want to keep trying to repair something. I do not have no control over his equipment, whether he wants to keep it or not. I do.
My concern is that if we have certain vehicles or certain equipment that keep coming back and back and back to the shop, then like somewhere down the line we need to say, look, this need to be dead now, whether it's time or not, because they keep coming back to the shop. Something is wrong. Let's get something new. Because I hear some of the employees saying I keep something going back to the shop.
I do make that
We
recommendation.
make those recommendations
And you make recommendations to
the board. However, you do have to balance whether you can replace that vehicle, or equipment. And so that's the balancing act we perform. But when it's absolutely to the point of disrepair, we certainly bring it to the board to consider deadline.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Stokes. Supervisor Hunter?
Well, I just think we're going to have to do an evaluation and try to connect the dots between the repairs and the public works department. It's a real critical area in between them, whether the function and whether it has an impact on the function of the county. If those two is a disconnect, we're going to have to find some kind of way to assure the quality and also the accountability on this high dollar equipment that we got out there. Because some of the stuff that I saw, it wasn't wear and tear. It was just mishandled or product misuse. So we need to look into this.
Yes,
Try to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Bryant?
President Graham, board members, good evening. In your package, you should have a breakdown on a call manager IP phone system, the equipment maintenance agreement, 2 quotes. Both of these are being listed in the City of Jackson Business Communications Incorporated, BCI, quoted $30,190.41. Metrics Solutions, which is Pilium, quoted $30,443.02, and it was a difference of $250.61. This is for 40 pieces of equipment, switches, routers, and so forth. It's 40 pieces. It's for 1 year. It's replacement of that piece of equipment through Cisco equipment. And then we have 24/7, 365-day support services that we can get in touch with them on. And our further went, just for y'all's information, per day, each of these equipment is $2.06 for the whole year. So I just share that with you, the 30,000, 40,000, or the 40 pieces of equipment, bring it down per day.
Okay.
So that is for IP. I listed all the buildings that it has a system ended on your recap there.
So the only thing that's different is the price.
Yes, sir.
That's
the
it.
two. Y'all requested me to get another quote, and that's what I did at Jackson.
Who's currently doing it?
Sir?
Who's currently?
BCI.
So you giving the contract to the same people?
Well, they come in the lowest bid, sir.
And the responsibility is to do what? What's their responsibility? What?
Okay. We have a problem with this equipment, the switches, the routers, and anything. They will see to it that it's replaced by next business day. Also, we have the 24/7, 365-day support that we can call the help desk or have them to help us solve the problem.
And their competition is who?
Well, it's through Matrix, which is a corporation. There's other bid or quote that we got.
How many years have they had this contract?
They did an upgrade about 2 years ago, and they added that point.
Before them, who had it?
Well, AT&T.
Did AT&T bid on this one?
No, sir.
Okay.
Have there been any complaints against the vendor who currently holds the contract?
No, sir.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Low bid.
Are you making a motion?
Yes.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to?
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Davis, continue.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is Mrs. Vicki Parker from Personnel, an item for your consideration.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
President Graham, other board members. I'm before you requesting approval to advertise the appointee positions for the board attorney and the emergency management director in the Clarion Ledger and also the Jackson Advocate.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Davis, if sometime this afternoon, if we have time, if Mr. Jenkins is going to be here, I'd like for him to just tell the board where we are. I've understood that we're approximately 60% complete on the restoration of Pod C. And I think that each board member needs to know exactly where we are as it relates to that if we have time,
Yes.
once we get to the end of the agenda.
Yes, sir.
If Mr. Jenkins is going to be here, you're going to be. Okay. All right. Continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Next, we have on the agenda Mr. Clarence Williams from Human Capital Development with several items for your consideration.
And if you would, did Mrs. Woods get that number that we needed for the board? I'd like all board members to know that number. Okay. Good.
Good afternoon again. I have one item, and that's to request approval to submit a grant application to Central Mississippi Planning and Development District for the Area Agency on Aging Program for outreach services to seniors. Hinds County provides a 10% in-kind match for this grant. The amount is $26,821.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Question for Mr. Stokes.
Who do we currently have the program ongoing?
Yes, sir.
If we have people that need, this is a feeding program, right?
It's that and a number of other programs for seniors. Sometimes it's referrals, sometimes it's assisted with filling out Medicare forms, transportation issues.
Who do we contact to get someone on the list to be fit to have meals?
If they are outside the city of Jackson, it's Miss Pearlie Johnson, who's this county's aging outreach person.
Inside the city.
I don't know who it is inside the city of Jackson, but I can get that for you. Because they have a separate program from ours.
Is there any prohibition about the county helping inside the city?
I think there is from CMPDD's point of view because both have reporting requirements, and I don't know if the people in the city of Jackson would like us stealing their numbers from them because we have to report 60 contacts per month from the county side. I don't know what the city requirements are.
Well, what I'm running into, I know a gentleman from a school teacher, and I witnessed him go from a healthy weight to almost malnutrition. And the issue is, if the city of Jackson is full, and we have somebody all in the county, then he has a need that needs to be met. This is a man who don't want to hear with Jackson full, but I can't do it because I'm in the county, when he's almost starving.
Well, I can check with CMPDD and see if they will allow it, but essentially, if he's in the city of Jackson, he would have to be serviced by someone in the city.
But the city is full.
I'll check with CMPD and get back to you.
That's probably communicated. At the city, yes. Contact Connie, she can probably help you.
Dr. Walker.
Who handles our program for us?
Miss Pearlie Johnson. She's out in the county. She does 2 days at Terry and 2 days at Bolton. She has office space in both locations.
What's the phone number?
I don't know off the top. When I did the last board meeting, I gave you a report about what the aging services and what they provide, and attached to the last page was her contact information, but I'll get it again and give it to someone of y'all.
Does she work on that? Who does she work on?
She works primarily under Ms. Mamie Brown, the Veteran Service Officer. But she falls under Human Capital's office, but she works directly under Ms. Brown.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Mrs. Davis, continue.
Thank you. Next item we have from our purchasing department, we have Mrs. House with several items for your consideration.
How's Mr. Lewis?
He's doing better. He's recovering and being treated.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, fellow board members. I have 3 items on the agenda today for your approval. The first one is a request from the Sheriff's Department. They have submitted to upgrade their crash and crime scene reconstruction software and hardware. Visual statement is the sole source of obtaining these items. The letters are presented for your review. The amount of the order is $12,770, which will come from the 2012 JAG grant.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So,
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye.
Opposed to?
Not voting, Mr. President.
One not voting. Motion passes.
The next item is also from the Sheriff's Department. They have submitted a request for their software for their records management, CAD and mapping, and jail management system. Application data systems is the sole source of obtaining these items, and letter of application is for your review. The total amount of the order is $155,000. These items were budgeted previously during, I guess, the first of the fiscal year.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly. Mr.
It's
Shepard.
about the general fund.
Yes.
We can't use the seizure funds and all of this, as they said, for equipment, and couldn't use any of those monies for this?
No, sir.
They don't have that much money in their seized funds.
They said they got $800,000.
Not that's been turned over to the county.
It's in the bank.
Not in your bank. They may have it, but
And
it's
we
not.
go with all these bank accounts. But it's not under, now, if it's $1 million in Liberty Bank, it's got to be some kind of way it's part of the county.
It is still under the sheriff, is my understanding.
Until it goes to the court system.
Correct.
It has to be processed through the court system.
Okay, I'm like, Supervisor Thomas. What kind of time frame to process it? It shouldn't take forever to process it.
We will have to ask the Sheriff's Department the status of the seized funds.
There's an issue.
Okay, all right.
Big issue.
All right, thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting.
One not voting, motion passes.
My last item, I'm requesting the board's approval to advertise for all the term bids for the fiscal year October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2014. These are the supplies and materials for the Public Works and Central Repair Departments.
So that's what we had last meeting.
Yes.
Could we not do it in-house?
This is the advertisement.
Well, I'm just asking. Could we not do this in-house?
We could, but it's very, very time consuming. And since we did not approve it last meeting, we're in a time crunch now.
Supervisor, and we can sit down and talk about it. The bids for these departments, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of items.
Well, you know, my major concern, and it might be legal, but it just seemed per se illegal that we use an outside company and then we have this company to give it, if I'm right now, is this the one where they get 3%?
Yes.
And then tell somebody else 3% plus, you gotta give me $60,000? That sounds like,
I'm not aware of the $60,000.
well, somebody gotta be aware.
We're 3%.
Well, there's a 3% charge to the awarder of the bid for the process.
So the entity to whom the bid is awarded pays an additional 3%.
Correct. For the cost of the bidding process.
Supervisor Hunter.
I thought she was the purchasing department.
Yes, she is. She's one of the agents in the purchasing department.
So I think we need to look at that real hard because if it even took another staff or somebody, because this is one of the concerns I asked you the other day about state contract, stuff that we bound state contract versus going on the open market. I just need to get a clear understanding on this purchase, because what I'm finding is several different purchasing departments throughout the county.
No, it's one purchasing department. Now, there are representatives from each department that is involved in trying to purchase items for their department, but all purchasing goes through the central purchasing department. And that's responsible for purchasing the items on behalf of all departments in the county.
And we still have this gap between getting the request approved from the need to the time they go through the process to actually get the part. We still lose a lot of downtime in that process.
Well, it really depends on the price of the item. By state law, depending on the price of the item and the type of service dictates how we go about purchasing that item. Now, regarding this bidding process, you may want to hear from Mrs. House before we went into the online bidding for these type of products, what it took for staff to go through that process, that RFP process for these items. It is very consuming. It's a lot of time. You have to continue through each item with each bidder on those individual cases, and we're talking many vendors to negotiate prices with.
I understand.
So
but my thinking is this, Ms. Davis, that I understand we are here now, but I want to look at it for the next process.
And
We're not stopping the progress at this point. It's a little late, but we need to
that's our
drill down in it.
Right, and I do appreciate the board's review of this, but we are in a time frame, and I'm certainly welcome reviewing how we can continue this process.
If it's beneficial, that's one good thing. Look at it both ways.
Dr. Walker.
To Supervisor Hunter's question, this is it for another year. This is approved to advertise all term bids for fiscal year October 1 2013 to September 30, 2014. So that's it for a year. And has any effort been made to sort of cross-train or get training for our staff? It would appear that it's my job that I'm not throwing rocks at anybody, but if my job is to clean carpet, I want to be able to clean the corners as well as in the middle of the floor.
Well,
You want me to use another example?
No, sir, I thoroughly understand what you're saying. And certainly the purchasing department does carry out their tasks of what they're to do. What we found, the reason why we went into this type of service, one, because of it providing a thorough review of negotiating prices, and it benefit us. We save thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's why we went through this process. And it does take up a large amount of staff time, considering we have the volumes of workload in the purchasing department with 3 agents and a director. So, but we certainly will look into going a different direction if that's what the board so chooses.
Well, I think we need to do it sooner than later, because I know a whole lot of units of government that are much larger than this, who don't have many more employees in purchasing than we, who do this themselves. And they have conscientiously worked to train or have their employees trained. And what it does is empower people who, we want to keep good people forever. But if we can train where there's a degree of versatility with our employees, it creates additional options for them so that they can be further empowered. And we still have 6 weeks left in this fiscal year. And I would think that although we're talking about October 1, which is about 6 weeks from now, it's 5 weeks, whatever, we still have time to come back and visit this issue.
Mr. President, may I?
Yes, and then we'll go to Supervisor Stokes and then Supervisor Catlin.
I just want to get clarity as the area of training that you're speaking of, so I can be sure what you're saying, Supervisor Walker. I'm not clear.
Well, you just said that the person who does it takes time and interacts with a whole lot of...
Oh, no, the staff knows how to do it. We've done it before.
Why can't staff do it?
They can serve if that's what the county...
That's what I'm saying.
We certainly can.
Okay, well, why they're not doing it?
Because we found that the service saved the county thousands and thousands of dollars through this process.
Supervisor Stokes.
Ms. Davis, the first time I heard it, and sooner or later somebody will catch on, it sounded like highway robbery. That's what it sounded like. When you start hearing, because I didn't know. First time I didn't really know the gentleman, and I think he was a county employee, but when you start hearing they doing this and 3%, it seems like we're doing something illegal. Now, whether it's illegal or not, it's the appearance of impropriety. And the county don't really be in that dance. And, what Supervisor Walker is saying, we got people now who can do it, let them do it, we need some more bring somebody else. I know you said we're saving money, but it looked like we're doing shady stuff. And, it might not be, but people are going to think it's shady because it sounds real shady. Thank you, Mr. President. I can support it.
Okay, Mrs. Catlin.
Yes, the company uses a particular software to request and analyze the bids. My question is, can Hinds County purchase the same software?
We're not sure. We can look into that.
This calendar, if it's for sale.
Yes, sir.
It's my understanding that the company that we utilize have created a program, but maybe this is something we can look into. We will look into it, Supervisor.
Okay, is it the pleasure, would you like to hear from the vendor, or do you just want to move on? What's the pleasure of the board?
Move on.
Okay. All right. Now, you have state your request one more time.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think you're about to say what I was about to ask.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to make sure that we are going to approve the advertising so we can move forward into getting the bids for these products. Now, we're not asking approval to do the online bidding, but at least go into the bid process for these items.
Okay.
For this
Let me
department.
ask another question then. At what point do folks find out that there's an additional 3%? Or do they have an understanding of that up front?
They understand it up front. There's a pre-bid conference. There's documents that is distributed
But
to
they
them.
can't
There's
pick it
an
up in
agreement.
the advertising. When we advertise for bids, it doesn't state there that the successful bidder will have to pay 3% to...
Yes, because there are bid documents that each bidder or potential bidder picks up, and that information is included in that documentation. And upon their agreement to participate in the bid, they sign an agreement to do that.
The supplier pays 3% for the service.
After the bid process is completed.
The county don't pay the 3%.
The county doesn't pay, just the awarding bidder pays the 3% at the end of the bidding process.
So if I know, Mr. President,
Continue.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, continue.
Okay. If I know that I'm going to have to pay somebody 3% on the back end, if I get a bid, I'm going to charge you 3% more, at least for the items. So do you win?
Well, we believe we do because we usually have savings when we award the bid. That's our understanding.
Okay. If there are no more questions or comments,
I
I'll
have one more comment.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Because I want to be clear on this. My concern is at least the staff need to be able to compare prices with what we're buying. And the fee of 3%, it's, I know some purchase on American Express, somewhere they charge their fee to the supplier. But I just want to make sure that the integrity of the process is down and it's transparent, right? We can really compare apples to apples. We don't want to say we saving on a light bulb that we've been paying $20 for last year. We've been buying one for $19 this year, but a regular light bulb could cost us $5. The staff we don't want them to be able to just get real comfortable, nor the person that's supplying the service that thinking nobody is mindful of what's going on,
Mrs. Davis, I think what I'm hearing is that they want you to evaluate the process. The board wants you to evaluate the process and report back to the board as to the usefulness of the process.
Yes, sir. We'll do that.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments for this
I
resolution?
need the signature page. Is it the same?
All right. Now, would you restate what you're trying to do again, or make sure we know what we're voting on?
I'm just asking for approval to actually advertise the bid. Whatever the process after the fact is fine, but I just want to be able to put it in the paper so we can follow along with that process. We don't have to go along with the other process if that's not your wishes, but just to put it in the paper, to advertise the Jackson Advocate.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes, now just advertise. Right?
Yes, sir. Just advertise. Just advertise. I promise. Just advertise.
I agree with you.
Opposed to? Are there any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, Mrs. Davis, continue.
Yes, next we have Ms. Lily Woods regarding budget amendments.
Good morning, President Graham and members of the board. Today, I'd like to request your approval of the budget amendments for amendments that represent departmental requests to transfer funds based on the explanations provided for each amendment. There are no amendments that will affect the general funds.